I am doing a no buy year in 2025, and these are the rules for the challenge.
If you see me buy any paper, I need you to slap me across the face. Today, we're going to be talking about the no buy trend that's going on in 2025. A lot of people are posting. It seems to be like a lot of like anti-consumerist content, which I think we can all get on board with. Especially us Americans. I think everyone is kind of realizing that the amount of stuff that we're, tempted to buy because of social media and like the access to advertising and all of that is actually unhealthy for us. Having a lot of stuff is not making our lives better by any means. This video is going to be kind of talking about more of like the creatives side of it, like being a creative, an artist, a crafter. And like a lot is pretty subjective. Like I wouldn't say I have the most art supplies I've ever seen. Like I've definitely seen worse hoarders, but like I definitely have a lot more than I've used, which I think is like the main point. I think for a lot of people, like there's like that meme like joke that like collecting supplies and using the supplies are two completely different hobbies.
Actually don't only date basketball players if anyone's ever done their research. But I'm not ashamed that I have a type.
And I think that is a little bit true, but I also think that it's also a little unhealthy depending on the person, obviously, and their financial means or whatever. But obviously having too much stuff gets to the point where it's overwhelming, and luckily art supplies isn't as like perishable as like say like makeup. Like makeup is really only has like a shelf life for like a year or so before it starts to go off and get bad and start having negative consequences towards your skin. A lot of art supplies, like while it can dry out over time, like most of my art supplies are still usable even like a decade or so later. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I feel like I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. So basically I wanted to talk about the psychology of buying versus creating, because there are two camps. I forgot the video I was watching, but it was kind of like about New Year's resolutions and kind of like why they don't tend to work. If I can remember or find the video, I'll link it. And she talks in that video about the idea of like the false first step.
This is called the false first step, which is a term that I learned from another YouTube channel many years ago called Break the Twitch. Essentially, it's when you decide you want to do something and then you procrastinate with loosely related busy work that you convince yourself are the initial steps, but they're actually not.
It's basically your brain, a way for your brain to trick yourself into believing you're making progress in your goals, but really you're not. Buying something and doing something are two completely different things. So like, just because you buy cute workout gear doesn't mean you're actually going to wear and use that workout gear, you know? Like, I can't tell you how many art supplies I've bought and have used maybe one time. Like, it's a lot. For me specifically, it's fucking paper. So that's just like that paper. I also have in here a bunch of like different like card stocks and printer paper. I have so many pads of watercolor paper and like different mediums of paper, and I think I would like kind of store them away and then my brain would forget about them. And then I've always like really been drawn to watercolor, but I'm really bad at watercolor as well. And this was like many, many years ago. I really haven't bought that many like art supplies in a really long time because I've been broke. It's amazing how being broke like just like stops you from impulse spending. I got no money to spend, so back in the day, when I had less responsibility and more disposable income, I bought a bunch of different watercolor sets and watercolor paper, kind of thinking that like if eventually I just found the perfect combination, it would magically make me better at using watercolors. But spoiler alert, that's not how that works. Even if you have the best supplies on the market, it's not going to make you magically good or skilled, Obviously, there's the other side where using really shitty art supplies can absolutely hinder your art development. Using average supplies is totally fine for a while until you build up your skills and learn different layering techniques, and it's practice and repetition that is what's going to make you a better artist in different studies and active growth and learning. So hoarding art supplies is not helping me. It's not. So here we got a bunch of my watercolors. This is the gold class Mission watercolors for Magello. And they're pretty good. I put them in these two big plastic palettes. And to be honest, I got this palette, I think because I saw an artist online using a giant palette and I thought it looked cool. And I haven't really used it much. If you notice, they all look pretty intact. But these are the swatches for the Mission watercolors. They're very good. I love how bright they are. The Bright Opera is just, fantastic. I got these little metallic watercolors, which I use once. I got these Winsor & Newton markers, which I really couldn't figure out that I used once. I got these Paul Rubin set, because it's pink and adorable. And I've used it a couple times. The one thing about them is that I love the bright colors, except the earth tones are pretty meh. They're not very bright. They're very muted. And then I also have the Pastel Dreams watercolor set. This one is kind of chalky. I like the colors, but they're definitely not super transparent watercolor-y. Not the highest quality, but you can get some really pretty colors. And then we have the Schminke. They're German Schminke watercolors, which is by far the most expensive ones. I got these as a gift as well. I think this one small little palette was $70 or $80. So they're definitely high quality, artist quality paints. And to be honest, it shows. They're really, really beautiful. I really love them. They're the ones I've definitely used the most. You can see I have deep pits in these ones, so that's exciting. At least they look used. I love looking at the chart, especially, where is it? I love this ultramarine and this yellow ochre. Look at that color. That's such a pretty color. There's so many really pretty colors. Just looking at these swatch sheets gets me in the mood. I wanna use them. And then probably the coolest gift, one of the coolest gifts I've ever gotten, is this little tiny set from my friend Julie. Ta-da! They're handmade metallics, and they're honestly, they're just so pretty. I love them. They're not too much, there's like two routes I think people tend to get trapped in, because I've been trapped in it, and it's research hell, where you're just kind of stuck in research limbo, and you don't actually make any progress forward because you're too scared to make a decision. So you kind of just like get stuck on a loop of like watching YouTube reviews or whatever and buying different art supplies, and you're like, well, I bought this one, but actually I think maybe this one might be better. Because like that loop of like watching and buying feels safe. It feels like, it feels like progress. It feels like you're learning. And in some cases you are learning. But there is like a point where you just kind of have to stop. Like there is no more information where you can take in that's going to help you. It's only through actively doing and pursuing a task where you're actually going to see the growth that you are looking for, Also, obviously, we're all dopamine junkies. We've been trained to be dopamine junkies with our cell phones and credit cards and, everything online in the modern era. So, buying stuff feels good for our monkey brains. Like, I think it's a way for our brains to avoid the vulnerability that is actually making art, which is going to be the topic of my next video, spoiler alert. So do keep a lookout for that one. Okay, and now we're going to get into why we collect. I know I've kind of gotten over some of it, but we're going to go a little deeper. So personally for me, the hoarding gene runs in my family. I know, like my grandpa was a hoarder. And like I see the tendencies in me and some of my other family members. But I'm married to somebody who is the opposite. He likes clean. Like if something doesn't have a place, you either have to make a place or donate it or get rid of it. It's very good balance to me, because I just want to keep everything. And I think like when we've talked about like trying to like, go through some of my art stuff, because classically, creatives, we're a mess most of the time. Like I got stuff everywhere, and if not corrected, I'm a bit of a natural disaster myself, a bit of a hurricane. But like every time we talk about me potentially like, getting rid of some of my art supplies, it was like really difficult mentally for me, because like it's not just like the supply itself, it's also like all of the possibility, like all of the, things that could be created with these supplies that like I'm also giving up if I give them away. So that is like really, and it just feels like a waste, like I have it. And right now it's not bad. It's not that bad. Especially because now I have a whole art room. I didn't always have a whole art room. So that, this shit used to take up a lot of space. I think making that very conscious decision to just use what I have. Like I absolutely have enough shit where I can make a lot of really cool art. Like just committing to making art instead of buying art, I think is going to get me into the direction in which I need to go, And then, there's also like the comparison, in social media aspect of all of this, where if you see like an artist online that you like, or you like their artwork and they like post about what art supplies they use, like if you buy those art supplies, like there's like, you think that, oh, my art's gonna look more like them, which is rarely the case. We all have our own art styles and like different ways we like to create, and that's on purpose. That's the point. We're all different, and that's the cool part. And then we'll buy or get gifted really good art supplies, like really fancy art supplies, and then be afraid of using them. That's also a big one. I have a really nice set of like Faber-Castell like pencils that my brother got me for Christmas one year, and like I barely touched it because it's, there might be a part of you that feels like you're unworthy of using those art supplies because like you don't deserve them yet. You're not quite there at that skill level. But that's made up. That's untrue. If you have it, use it, Are you ready for this? Bloop, bloop. Ta-da! They're so pretty. And what's really cool is that these ones, they're a little out of order. They got shuffled around, obviously. But these ones are watercolor pencils, which I should use. And then it has a drawer, a bunch of pastels. Like, look at how nice. And then on the other side, we have the normal colored pencils. This is such a nice set. I've had this for years. What's the point of it gathering dust on your shelf? Like, that's not gonna make them, like, if anything, like, I think going through like a whole set of like nice art supplies is like a celebration. Like, that's what they're made for. It's a bit of a buzzword now, so I don't love using it, but like the whole like scarcity mindset where like, you know, it's like that feeling of like survival and like that resources are scarce, so like you have to hoard things and like save them, and you can't use them up because whatever, you know, because like there might not be any later. And I think that can also get toxic because it'll stop you from like using your things. Like, if anything, I have too much stuff. I could really benefit from using up some of these art supplies. And then not only do I have a bunch of watercolors, I have, obviously, you can see over there, that's a bunch of different alcohol-based markers. And then down here, I have 2 more Ahuhu sets of alcohol-based markers. We have an acrylic set. Like, this is like a normal liner. This is an acrylic marker set from Ahuhu. These are the Tombos, I believe I have in here. And then I have more alcohol markers from the Prismacolor portrait set in here. So, yeah, I'm very well stocked. Over here, I have all of my my oil paint stuff over here. I got these oil sticks for Christmas that are also shiny, that I kind of was seeing how they looked on him in the armor and in the bubble. They're very cool. I'm excited to try using them. And then all of my oil paints are in there. I literally have everything my heart could want in art supplies. So if I don't fucking use these things, you have permission to bully me. For me, my 2025 art supply no buy. I am not allowed to buy anything unless I use up everything magically. Like, if I need, like, I'll leave a little bit of wiggle room in case I need specific like paint tube that ran out, like for a painting. But like otherwise, no, not allowed. If I do end up using up what I have, like, and I need like say more canvases or something, then I'm allowed to get some. But only if I sell some of the artwork that I made. In general, for 2025, I want to avoid staying in my safe zone as much as possible. I really want to push myself out of my comfort zone because, like, it's easy to buy art supplies. It's easy to, you know, kind of like paint and like do stuff in my free time and never show it to anybody and just like keep it. Like, I got a pile of art supplies or of paintings and stuff that like I just, you know, haven't shown anybody, or I just keep like locked away as a hermit, you know, because that's what I'm used to. So I really in 2025 want to just break out of all of my comfort zones. There are 2 things that I am open to purchasing if I can make enough money to afford them through like social media, my store, and like online stuff. They're actually like camera stuff. So I want to get one, if I can make money through my art or my YouTube channel, get monetized, you know, we're kind of close. We're like more than halfway there. So that's exciting. I want to get a lens for my camera that I use right now. It's like a wide angle lens that like looks really cool. And, I want to start like experimenting more with like photography and videography and all of that stuff. That's a whole new skill I'm learning. And 2 is another camera. It's called the DJI Pocket 3, I'm pretty sure. It's like, it kind of fills all of the holes that I need. And like realistically, like my phone could do very similar, similar stuff, but I hate filming on my phone because I am always running out of storage. And not only am I competing with all of like the random video files I'm filming, I also have like 70 billion pictures of my son. You know, so it's like, it's just a jumble. I hate. And then like if I have to use a cord to hook it up to my laptop, and it's just, it never works properly for me for some reason, and it's always a nightmare. So I like to use the memory cards. That's the best. So for me, those are my 2 purchasing goals this year. So I'd really love to know what you guys think. Do you have a tendency to hoard art supplies instead of use them? Let me know. Do you think that the no buy is a good idea? Do you think it's, I think it might be good as like a little bit of a reset, like a priority reset, you know? Figure out what you actually use and what you actually like, and instead of like just like finding something and impulse buying it all the time, you know? So I hope at least one person got something out of this video, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!